What's up, gamers? Welcome to Battle Mallet Podcast, episode 77, Hex Ed, Forsaken Comments. For anyone that isn't familiar, the Battle Mallet Podcast is the journey of three busy gamers playing games that they love, balancing life with those games, and making their way to the Nova Open Convention every year. My name is Jerod Johnson. Tonight, I am joined by Trace Al Capone Hyde.
Did you even learn how to talk?
No, I completely forgot over the past month and a half. And Jason Table Noob Murray.
I'm too nice.
You are too nice. No, you're the opposite. You're too mean.
Too mean?
I'm too nice.
You know what? I'm just the guy that likes to collect useless cardboard. That's what I am.
That's true. Yeah. Cardboard, poster board, chipboard.
You name it.
Cardstock. Yeah. So speaking of useless cardstock, in tonight's episode, we're going to go through the most recent update to Warhammer Underworlds.
2.0.
Emberguard is the name of the game. I don't know how long that's going to go where I'm like, is it Emberguard? Is it Emberwatch? I don't know. What's the name of this game? But the designers have released rules updates. Fun fact, when we first read it, it was called Designer's Commentary. But then when we pulled it up tonight, they changed the name of the document to Rules Updates, which is fun. And then some changes to organized play. But before we get into any of that, I'm going to ask Trace what he's been up to, because I think I know what Jason and I have been up to, which is a whole lot of to nothing.
To Dow.
I have been slinging a little bit of paint, and you guys have been doing something. Y'all have played a couple times.
That's true.
So not nothing.
Not to nothing.
Not to nothing. I have put some paint on a few models. I don't remember what I've done since the last time we talked. It's been a minute.
Done some Chaos Warriors. You built some stuff for Old World.
Yep, I did a thing with some stuff.
A He-Man thing.
Let me see.
You did.
The Christmas model was revealed.
That's right.
I showed everybody that. It got
the red
shouted
Gobbo
out on the Warhammer community page, which was fun. And then I painted Ram Man from the Masters of the Universe Battlegrounds miniatures game. And then I have assembled a bunch of models with my son over the holiday break because he got a bunch of lizard men for Christmas.
Nice.
He asked for the spearhead, and I managed to find a old holiday box from last year that had a whole bunch of stuff in it. So he got those. And then I have been assembling some old world Chaos Warrior stuff because I'm going to be doing a league for that here shortly at the end of January. So yeah, that's pretty much what I've been up to. I mean, played some games of Underworlds 2.0 that I'm now salty about, which we will get to shortly. Yeah. Jason, you've been playing.
Yes.
And teaching games.
I am Jeff.
I'm Jeff.
No, that's the little shark dog thing from Marvel Rivals.
So what have I been up to in this end of the holidays here? So lots of holidays, balancing life, work, and video games and board games and all those things. So coming out of the holidays, there was a lot of games played at my household. There was some Battle Masters with my 6-year-old who loves it. He played our Kinder Worlds, what we used to call way back in the day. So again, he's 6. He's just got the reading down, but we're not ready to go into game mechanics reading. So what we do is we put the board down. We evenly disperse the objective tokens across the board. 1 in no man's. I'm in the center of the board. 2 kind of behind that. At the end of the round or 4 activations, you get a point if you're standing one of those, plus a point for everybody that you kill. And he's proceeded to beat my tail in, I think 4 or 5 times now. He has to play Warhammer about every other day, so glad that the addiction is taking hold. My daughter and I played Sorcerer's Arena, which is a Disney kind of like Underworlds because it has cards, it has characters, and it's on hexes. So we played a bunch of that. So yeah, a lot of games there. And then the biggest thing is, the league. I shouldn't say the league. Sorry, the gaming group, because we're not doing a league currently. Continues every other week, and it continues to grow. We get new people in and out. The version 2.0 seems to be grabbed a couple people, and more importantly, like the local community has just taken a life of its own. Like Trace mentioned, there is a league starting for Old World, which like our little gaming community is kind of spearheaded, and I love that. Like that was always the goal of this podcast and of Battle Mallet, was not just to talk into the nether regions of the internet. I mean,
You got to talk somewhere, I guess.
I love your guys' reaction. It's so great for me. But more importantly, it was to get a bunch of people together and start playing games and have people to play with. And that has really been great. Like, for example, went out and played Trace a few weeks ago, and he totally stopped me with Reckless Fury. It was like just a bloodbath. I can't believe that you would even use something like that. But, I did win that game, so I guess it's okay. And then more importantly, this week had a lot of learning games, and then just chatted. Like I literally didn't play anything this past week. Talked about the hobby and everything that is, and had a really enjoyable time. And that's why we do this. So that's what I've been up to. Oh yeah. And some work in there, and planning this whole trip to Disney World, which is going to be fantastic.
It's going to be a great time.
It is. Help me, I'm poor.
It's your own fault.
No. It's America. Oh. They've programmed me to spend all my money at Disney.
At Disney World? Yeah. Fair enough.
Oh, the other big thing too is Hayden's also gotten into Star Wars. We've been watching that Skeleton Crew.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, it is really good. And it's like perfect. It's kind of like Space Goonies, right? Like
it really is.
So
yeah. That's fun. Cool. Well, hobby and game wise, I think I made it out to one meetup since the last time we recorded. Maybe two. I don't remember. But played the Jaws of Itzel, and that was fun. Just kind of went with an aggro build for them. Using this, I guess, overpowered deck as part of my combo. Apparently Reckless Fury is really good, according to the game designers. And then outside of that, just had a lot of family stuff going on that's kind of eating up a lot of, mental, emotional bandwidth for me. But all of that is starting to settle out. So hopefully we'll get back into things, gaming and hobbying and painting soon. I realized earlier today that the next wave of mutants is coming sometime in Q1 for Marvel Crisis Protocol. So I got to get these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mutants that are still sitting on my paint desk painted, hopefully before those drop. But we'll see if that happens. I hope so. But I think that's about it. So yeah, I guess we'll take a break here, and when we come back, we will talk about the rules updates and the updates to organized play for Underworlds. And we're back, and we are ready to talk about some rules updates and updates to organized play for Warhammer Underworlds. I do want to just shout out the fact that our lack of recording, I don't know, call it foresight, call it laziness, means that we don't have to go back and talk about a bunch of different warbands because they got updated. But there were some pretty major changes, clarifications. We're not going to hit them all. We're going to kind of clarify or pick out some of the highlights, some of the big clarifications as they were. And we're just going to start at the top in the rules updates. The drive back wording has been changed. It turns out that you can't count nothing.
Yeah.
Somebody on this podcast.
The real question
right.
is a number 0 a number?
0 is a number.
It's nothing.
Jason.
It's nothing.
But you can't count nothing. So
I don't have to
drawback
count
has been changed. Yeah, that's right. If there's nothing, then don't count it. So drawback has been changed. If the number of successes in an attack roll is equal to or greater than the number of successes in the save roll, and there are any successes in that attack roll, the attacker's player can use the following ability. And then it would be the ability. So push the target 1 hex away from the attacker. That fighter has been pushed. And the key here is that if you roll no successes and your opponent also rolls no successes, you don't get to still drive back, which intuitively works, but rules as written, there are arguments that could be made to say that if there were no successes in the attack and no successes in the defense roll, that you could drive back, but that's only if you concede that you can count nothing. If you assume that you cannot count nothing, then everything works. Anyway, I'll stop rambling. The game works as it should have. So
I swear we're going to fight over this someday.
We probably will. I mean, just physical blows, fists to faces.
If you roll 0, it is nothing. It doesn't count. Why do we even have to have this update?
I'm going to be spitting out teeth saying 0 is a number, Jason. That's what's going to happen one day. It'll be great. But I think everything else, a lot of the stuff is, like a lot of the answers to what I guess they would call frequently asked questions, just said to refer to the rule book. In most cases, things were pretty straightforward and intuitive. I think the other one that is maybe worth calling out, and I want to call it out because I think of the way that we talked about it when we reviewed the game when it first came out, was the sequencing abilities and playing surge abilities. So there's a question there. Can you explain how sequencing abilities and playing surge abilities interact with each other? The core of the answer is that the player whose turn it is resolves all of their abilities first. And then the other player then resolves all of their abilities. So
yeah, but you still play them back. Like you play, I play, you play, I play, and then you resolve, I resolve
all of mine, and then you resolve all of yours. Yeah. So you kind of declare, here are all of the things that I can do in this window, or we take turns declaring all of the things that we can do in the window, and then in that moment.
Yeah,
I'm going
to punch you again
state.
Already. We're on the second comment. Right? You're like, window. No, there are no windows. That's what I would say about these frequently asked questions. Like, you pull out the most important one to me, the sequencing. And I think that a lot of the FAQs or a lot of the discussions that have been around the game are holdover thoughts on these windows or when can I play X. The new version is if the condition is met, you play it right then.
Yep.
Like
in that moment, immediately in that moment in the game state.
In that moment.
Yep. Yeah. Immediately after whatever, when that condition is met. So, yeah. So I think that's, that's kind of those are the two big shout outs from like the core rule set. Everything else is just answering, like clarifying things that I think if you don't have any holdover from the first edition, if you just were playing this game for the first time ever, I feel like it all fits. But that's just my opinion.
There's one other thing too, where it says Nemesis. So when playing Nemesis format, what should be revealed at the start of the game? Your warband and your 2 rival decks. So I know we had that question too. And that's the way we kind of thought it was, but it didn't specifically say that. But now when you start the game, this is my warband. These are the 2 decks I built with. Look, we're sharing more information. Oh no, the world is going to implode.
Yep. Yeah. Anyway. So, I think I'm gonna save the juicy part. For those of you, you can't see it on camera, but there is a rant building up. There is a meter within Jason right now that is just filling and filling and filling. So just prepare yourselves mentally for a
I'm
good old
enraged.
Jason
I'm
tabled
enraged.
New Murray. Yeah, the blood tithe counters are slowly increasing. Speaking of blood tithe counters, let's go ahead and talk about Drom. Jason, you want to cover
Yeah.
some of the
So, I
changes?
mean, probably one of the things that we were looking forward to the most was a clarification, a ruling, a change to Drom. So, Enrage is now use this in a power step, discard 8 Blood Tithe tokens, then pick
Oof.
an enemy fighter. Your
Double oof.
opponent your opponent resolves a charge for that fighter. You can only use this ability once per game. So the charge is to an opponent, and there's a steep cost to it.
Yeah.
But making an opponent charge in a power step does have other utility, like pulling people off objectives. Like it's not like the card that makes you charge, right? Like this is in a power step. They have to charge. There's not like really a way around it. And then they're locked too. So yes, you're going to take a hit or potentially take a hit. But I think it's still going to be a useful ability when needed. You won't need it every game.
Yeah.
And then the other change is Final Frenzy. Use this immediately after damage is inflicted on a friendly fighter if that fighter would be slain. Discard any of your Blood Tithe tokens. Roll a attack dice for each token discarded in that way. On any crit, remove damage tokens from that fighter until they are vulnerable. That fighter is slain at the end of the battle round. You can only use this ability once per game.
Yep.
So that's kind of cool. Like, I like the fact that you can still kind of ramp it up and roll a whole bunch of dice. I like the fact that
Yep.
you will then survive, but I also like the fact that you're vulnerable and no matter what, you're done at the end of the round.
Yeah. 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 And so it pops off easier, right? So it's not a remove 1 damage token per crit anymore. It's on any crit, remove damage tokens from that fighter until they are vulnerable. So, if I come in and you were already vulnerable and I hit you for 4 damage, you could discard 8 blood tithe tokens and you just need 1 crit to undo all of that damage. Which, I think the concession that you'll be slain at the end of the battle round kind of makes up for the fact that you don't need enough crits to remove all the damage to save you. So
are they broken because of these changes? Like, can we not play them now? Are they nerfed into oblivion?
So, I think their stat blocks are still really good.
He's still range 2.
He's still range 2. He still has a 5 hammer, 2 damage attack. Yeah. I think they're still good. If they had been ruled this way at Worlds, there's no way that we would have seen 17 out of 48 players playing them. But I still think you would have seen some. I mean, I think they were too good going into Worlds. But these changes, I think, put them in line with any of the other good warbands. So, but that's a total hot take. I have no, data to back that up.
Cool.
So, cool. All right. So, they made a bunch of changes and answered a bunch of questions about warbands. Jason, you got another warband you want to hit?
Just talk about Grandfather's Gardeners. So a clarification on how they take damage. So if an uninspired fighter from the Grandfather's Gardeners takes 2 damage during a turn, can any other uninspired fighter from the same warband still take damage in that turn? And the answer is yes. It is limited.
We got that wrong.
Yeah, we got that wrong on our episode because it said fighters. So we thought it included everything. But it is per fighter. So That is
2 damage limit per uninspired fighter. So you can still make a bunch of people vulnerable and inspire them and do what you will with that. And then a clarification, and I think that we called this out, but if you can reap a harvest to prevent yourself from being slain. So when you are dealt damage, the reap a harvest trigger happens before the out of action check happens. So you would heal, remove a damage token, and then you would compare the number of damage tokens to your health characteristic and then see if you are slain is the word. That you don't take things out of action anymore, you slay them.
Slayer.
All right. The other one another one that we kind of called out that we got wrong. Well, we didn't get wrong. They changed the wording. We got it right. Is Sereni's Razors. So the Hammer Tide ability now works such that you have to draw the line from the center of Sereni's Hex to the center of another hex to draw your line. So you don't have like an infinite number of lines that can clip other hexes or anything like that. You have 6 options for direction for the Hammer Tide ability now. So anyone that played in first edition, it works the same. So
yeah, and I definitely abused that. Like I was like drawing lines from everywhere, so I'm glad that there's a clarification that it must be to the center.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a fix. I think we played it the way that it was worded, but the way that it was worded may not have been the way that the designers intended. I think the other one that is relevant, another one that is relevant is because you and I both like the Skinnerkin so much, Jason, is all of their War Scroll abilities are once per battle round, not once per turn. So you can't Precise Fillet, More for the Pantry, or Calloused Hands every turn.
What?
I know.
That's so sad. Why?
It is sad. Skinnerkin Meta Menace, obviously.
That's why, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, once per battle round. The one that I wanted to point out was because I've played them. Was oh my goodness, the Bone Reapers.
Kanan.
Thank you. Yeah, so Kanan, the I can't find the page, but the gentleman with the bow, right? Like he costs 0. Know him. He costs 0 glory. So like I was inspiring him, and there was a question: are you doing that right? I'm like, yes. But they're like, you don't have a tithe. I'm like, no, you can. And it clarified as yes.
Wait. You can discard nothing. I thought
no, I didn't. It wasn't nothing. Discarding.
Don't open that box. Don't open the box.
I was
Close
inspiring
the box.
0.
Close the box.
I thought you couldn't do anything with nothing, Jason.
Yeah, you can't.
Okay.
I have a 0 glory. I can't do anything with that. So he inspires. He might as well just start inspired. Yeah. Like, why does he even have an uninspired side to his card? That's what I wanted.
Right? Yeah, he should Uber Mortec, always inspired. I'm trying to think what else. Yeah, I feel like if we start digging too hard, we're going to just end up going through everything.
Scurry was a big update too.
Yeah, so Scurry, you can only use it once per turn.
Yeah, and they can't have a move or charge token, I believe.
Yeah. Yep, if a different friendly fighter with no move or charge tokens was adjacent to the fighter that moved before it started that move, that friendly fighter can move. You can only use this ability once per turn. So you can't daisy chain Scurries infinitely to move all the way across the board. And then spinning is no longer an option. So if somebody is pushed, placed in, or enters a hex adjacent to a friendly Snurk, you inflict 1 damage to that fighter. So he has a lethal bubble, a damage bubble. There's no such thing as lethal hexes.
Yeah, so I mean, there's definitely a lot of really cool FAQs or little updates to clarify some of the rules on the War Scroll. And I am very appreciative of that. I love the new format of the rules update. I love the fact that it's one
Yes.
document. It kind of goes through each individual warband. I love the text boxes. I think that you could like cut them out and put them on your War Scroll card. It's easy to
Yeah.
reference when you're talking about a
Yes.
specific warband. Again, like we're however many months into this, not many weeks, if you would, into version 2 of Underworlds, and we already got this like a lot of clarifying, or in the case of Thricefold Discord and Drom, some really good changes to balance those warbands out.
Yeah.
So real happy to see that. As you work through the warbands, we get into the actual decks, right? So one big one that we hit that I think was hit or clarified was from Blazing Assault, and that does Wings of War grant +2 move when a fighter makes a move as part of a charge ability? Answer is
Yes.
yes.
But the more important question
Yes.
is,
Right? Can I make a charge if I don't have any valid targets for my attacks within range before using Wings of War?
yes.
Yes. And this argument really got me burning from the rule book. And it all stems from that call out box that says that a charge action must be a move and then attack action, and they must be resolved in order to make a charge. So the argument was like, if you cannot complete that move before playing Wings of War, you cannot charge. And that just to me was a simple carryover from version 1. Like if
I
you read
agree.
the rules and the way that rules interact in version 2 in this rule book that we have, you don't have to have a valid target to declare a charge, but you cannot charge if at the end of both of those, the move and the attack, you cannot complete those. You cannot charge, which would cancel the charge, right?
Right.
So I love that this is in here. I love that Wings of War is there. I know that the argument can be made now that you can play these cards at +2 move. The aggro is there, right? Like you're getting across the board. But frankly, I would rather touch everybody and play that game than not be able to play with one of my cards.
Yeah, yeah. And the key wording, I think, in that call out box, the can I charge box, is a fighter can only charge if they're able to resolve both abilities one after the other. So can I resolve the move? Check. After I resolve the move, can I resolve the attack? Check. Then I can charge. And you're right. I think it was a holdover from the old edition where the designer's commentary or maybe even the rulebook itself said otherwise.
Yeah.
But
People like to get
Yeah.
stuck in their ways. It is what
no,
it is.
and I mean, when we played the other edition of the game where charges
long
largely
time.
worked the same for 7 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I'm
I
with
get
you.
it.
I'm with you. I'm not.
It doesn't make them
it's
any
just like-
less wrong, but I understand where they're coming from.
Coming from the wrong way.
That's right.
Yeah, and
close
that's, I
enough.
mean, I'll probably get into it again a little bit later, but like for me, so version 2 came out and I read the rules, I don't know, 4 or 5 times. I've played a handful of games, but the holiday break really reset me because I didn't like constantly reading rules, like just literally took a couple weeks off and stopped reading. And like going to our latest meetup, it was almost like my mind finally reset into like, this is the new version. Digest this. Stop thinking about the old. Just the new. But I had to take that break to get the old out of there because it's like a habit. Like
Yeah. There's inertia there, man. You can't help it. So, Trace, any other call outs from the rules updates before we get to the organized play document?
Nothing really. Like everything else that I noticed was everything that you guys had already kind of talked about as far as like notable stuff. Just watch out for those sneaky A's versus these or whatever that are in there now. They don't really change anything. It's just grammatical errors and clarity stuff for the most part, most of the other stuff. So nothing really of note outside of what you guys have already touched on.
Yeah, for me in Amberstone Sentinels, unassailable. Like, does the unassailable objective card require the target of the attack to be holding a treasure token after the attack is resolved? Yes. Yeah. Does the assailable objective card require the target of the attack to be holding a treasure token at the time of the attack? No. Like, so it's like, it literally says after. So after everything that happens, it is the condition met. Yes. Not during, not part of, like after.
Yep. Score this immediately after an action step if a fighter that was the target of an attack action is holding an objective. So
cool.
All right, so moving on to the organized play formats document. Warhammer Underworlds Rivals format rules. I'm pretty sure literally no changes. So warbands, yep, you still gotta either have the Ember Guard symbol or you gotta be in that list of available downloadable warbands. Rivals decks gotta come from the Ember Guard box. Boards gotta come from the Ember box, and then we scroll down to Nemesis format rules, and all of that seems the same until we get to Nemesis Forsaken and Restricted list. Womp, womp, womp. So 4 cards have been added to the Forsaken list. Forsaken cards cannot be included in any deck used in a Nemesis format event. Restricted cards can be included, but you cannot include more than 3 restricted cards across your Nemesis objective and Nemesis power decks. So the Forsaken cards are Get It Done from Reckless Fury, Blade Catcher from Reckless Fury, Fury of Akshi from Reckless Fury, Utter Ignorance from Reckless Fury. The restricted cards are I can't even say anything because there's nothing. I can't count it. I can't resolve it. It's nothing.
So let me get this straight. You mean to tell me that the deck that is maybe a month old for the general public, that they maybe have gotten 4 games with max, 5 games with maybe, who knows? Depends on how much you play Underworlds. Now just has 4 cards that I can't use in Nemesis format. Like just straight up. I've lost 20% of my power deck.
That's what he's saying.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Get the squeaky hammer ready.
No, don't do it. It's so much work. All right, I'm going to say one thing.
Just one
thing, and then I'll step away from the microphone. It's not what I would have done. I think there are better ways to handle cards that are too strong, but maybe we can wrap that up in the end. That's my piece. It's not the way I would have handled it. So, but Jason, do you have any thoughts on this?
I'm very passionate about this. Like I don't. For those that have listened a long time, like I always try to err on the side of like, okay, let's make sense of this decision. Let's put it to the bigger group. I don't allow my personal like feeling to totally come through, right? Like obviously I have them, I share them, but at the end I try to level on, is this best for the community? Is this best for the game? And this one, like it feels squeaky lazy to me. Like I don't understand where this was coming from. On the top of like, yeah, we just skipped through what was it, like 13 pages of FAQs and clarifying documents and changes.
It's literally a rules update. Yeah. We just read the title. It's rules updates. And this is just something else that got yanked. Another lever that got yanked.
Well, it got tacked onto it. And the reason that I say it's lazy is the 3 restricted cards. Like I get 2, 3, 4 years ago before Nemesis format really took hold, we had this thing called Championship, and in Championship we had an awesome Forsaken and Restricted list. But like, we never had it in Nemesis because when you're building with 60 cards or whatever it is, 64 cards, like there's just not a lot. And we go from not having one to 4 blipping cards from the same deck Forsaken. Like, I just don't understand that. In the biggest offenders, which were Drom and Thricefold, you just reeled in. And we know, like Trace and I know from Trace playing Crushes, like the deck was still good. It still gave gas to these like aggro builds. And there definitely some cards, which we'll get into the cards, that are very, very strong. But just to forsake them, I don't understand why. And I love the designers. I love the people that work on this game. I love all the testers. Like, I don't think that the community really knows how much work from a group of individuals go into trying to make this game the best game it could ever be. But this one just feels like somewhere along the line, someone just mailed it in. Like, I'm all for small changes to try to write the game, and you can grow them over time. This is just a delete. And now I have to explain to our community, because that's what I realized the most, over the last couple of months, is we have a great community, but most of them are casual players. And now I have to go to them and explain to them, not do you just have to modify your decks, but when we are playing Nemesis, you cannot use those 4 cards that you just purchased that I told you it was a great deck 30 days ago. And I just can't believe it. And the 3 restricted card thing is a cut, copy, and paste. If you're going to bring back the Forsaken and Restricted list, why does it have to be 3? Because we did that before when we had hundreds of cards to choose from to build a deck. Why don't you go to your deck can contain 1 restricted card? Your deck can contain 2 restricted cards. And then you can put all 4 of these on the blippin' restricted side, and I can still play with my blippin' fun. But no, you blippin' made me mad, and now I cannot even use these freaking cards or experience them. Because I haven't. I've played twice since this deck has come out, and I have yet to experience them other than one time, and I won.
Yeah.
It's just because you played a bad player, Jason.
Damn it.
Got him!
Let's go through them, right? Like,
Absolutely.
Get it done
Yeah.
is the only gambit on here. And this is pick 2 friendly fighters, remove a charge token from one of those fighters, and then give the other fighter a charge token. That's strong, but
Yeah.
Is it broken?
I mean, so I think it's broken when 2-3 fighter warbands are broken. But I mean, you already said it. They reined in Drom and Thricefold. So, like, being able to pull a charge token off of somebody, like, and be able to put it on somebody that's already charged. That changes the game state a lot. The thing that's really frustrating about this is like one of the only ways to give somebody 2 charge tokens. And there's an objective in this deck that requires a fighter to have multiple charge tokens. So it's not just that I can't play with my toys, but I mean, you might as well forsake that objective now, because there's not reliable ways to do that, or you've removed one of the most reliable ways to do that,
which is Savage Sprinter.
Thanks.
Oh no!
That.
Sorry,
By the way,
that's move tokens. My bad.
Yeah. By the way, it's all ploys. They're all ploys. I'm guilty as charged. Got to stop saying gambit. They're all ploys.
Not all the Forsaken cards, but all.
No, yes, all of the things that we have referred to as gambits are ploys. They're in your power deck. There are ploys and upgrades. So, all right. So the next Forsaken card, if we're done with Get It Done,
is Bloodbath Rampager.
Bloodbathed Rampager.
If a friendly
Bloodbathed
fighter has
Rampager.
2 or more charge tokens.
Yep.
How many glory is that worth, Jason?
1.
Yeah. So it's not an auto include. It's not the coveted 2 glory in phase, but it should be a reliable 1 glory in phase that is now no longer reliable. Because
and I think that Get It Done is a knee-jerk reaction to Enrage. Like, we saw how potent it was to get an additional charge out of Drom, right? But one of the things was you're getting additional charge in the power step, like that didn't cost you an activation. This charge is still, or this action is still going to cost you an action.
Yeah, I mean, the play with Drom was charge in the power step and then play Get It Done, remove the charge, and then charge again with the Gore Chosen. The Gore Hulk. Sorry. But yeah, I think you're, it seems to me that it probably was a knee-jerk reaction to the ability to get that 13th action out of a warband. The next one, I mean, just call me Star-Lord when he finds out what his father did to his mother. Like, what? You're getting rid of Blade Catcher? It's like my favorite card. I mean, it's really good. The ability to just turn off weapon abilities.
It is. But this is a very, when we reviewed it, very, very good card. We knew it was going to appear everywhere, right? It shuts off weapon abilities, especially when you put it on a 5-6 wound fighter. I get it. But guess what, gentlemen? There was another lever that we had to pull other than a Forsaken and restricted list. Blade Catcher should be a 2-3 glory upgrade.
Sure.
Like, pull that trigger before you just say, I can't play with my bleeping toy.
Yeah. I mean, 3 glory would have probably forsaken it for most people anyway. But it,
I still would have put it in my deck.
Still worth taking.
I still would have put it in my deck. Like, and that's not.
Yep.
Okay, so then the argument could come in. Okay, like let's just say it's 2 glory. Well, Jason, for the new players, it's really hard when we modify the cards because I'm in that camp. Like, I hate modifying cards because when you buy the card, you open it up and you're like, huh, like this card is like invalid in a way, like I am getting misinformation. Oh, wait. But when they come to play Nemesis, I'll be like, you can't play with that one at all. Like, like,
and there's still an accessibility issue here that you have to have somebody that is in the game enough to be on the Warhammer community site to understand that there is a download page, that there could be an errata, that there could be a Forsaken and restricted list. So like neither of them help with accessibility. So like I would opt for the one that leans towards playability. Let's errata the card, but still be able to use it. But yeah. All right. So Fury of Akshi. This is the card. This is an upgrade, and I don't have it pulled up in front of me, but it's the one that
fighters
says
adjacent to this fighter cannot use core abilities other than the charge ability.
This is probably the worst offender. This is
yes, 100%.
It creates the most negative play experience. That
110%. I've played against it. I agree. It is a fantastic utility card. It changes the game. Like, it was actually a really fun puzzle to figure out when I was playing against it. But I completely understand. If I'm going to pick anyone to be Forsaken, it would be this one. But again, if we put all 4 of them onto the restricted list and I only have to deal with this one, great. Or is this, again, why are we not pulling the lever of the glory cost?
Right. Yeah.
Or modify it in like the first time this fighter is charged, break this objective. Or
Yeah.
discard this upgrade. Like
Yeah.
there are, again, things that could be done, and other than just saying you cannot play with your toy.
Yeah. All right. Last one. What do we got? What is it? Utter ignorance, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm utterly
Yeah.
ignorant on looking at this Forsaken list. If this fighter would be slain, they are not slain. Remove damage tokens from this fighter until they are vulnerable, and then discard this card. It's 2 glory.
Yeah.
So let's back up. If we put Blade Catcher to 2 and Fear of Actuate to 2, now it's 6 before all 3 of these can come out. Oh, that might have been a better fix than that. Now, again, under ignorance, like you put it on a high wound fighter, it totally sucks because you got to kill him twice. But again, the restricted thing, like where you take one, moving it over to the restricted side, or you increase this to 3, or you increase the other ones. Like, why are we not going that route to see what's playable and what's not? And the worst part about all this is like all of these cards are fine in Rivals. So you mean to tell me that the players that show up and play Rivals aren't going to get crappy? Like, well, of course you won. You played Reckless Fury. It has 4 Forsaken cards in it. Ye golly, oh my! Get
Jason's already at Disney.
Yep.
Right. I'm just so.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going
to be real for just a second. I'm going to be real for just a second.
Be real.
I was so excited for this edition of the game. I was so excited for having all these new things to play with, even if there's some of them are like old and reverbaged upgrades and ploys and all this other stuff from previous editions. That doesn't matter. I was excited because it was just a fresh take on the game that we all appreciate. And this right here, having this happen less than 30 days after I actually had the deck in my hand, has taken all of my positive wind out of my sails. Like, I'm just very frustrated at the fact that, like, all these rules updates, these are all fine. Like, makes total sense to me. But this right here is just reckless, if I'm being honest. Punny. It's reckless. Like, and it's appropriately from the Reckless Fury deck, but like, it just feels reckless to just rip 4 cards out of one deck when you've already yanked on all these other levers and you haven't even given the game time to balance itself again. It's really frustrating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You haven't given. Sorry, I'm like leaning back because I'm so frustrated. You haven't given the normal players. I mean, we just had a brand new guy show up on Monday, and I'm like, you should go buy Reckless Fury. It's really good. You're going to have a lot of fun with it. And granted, he's probably going to come and he's going to play Rivals for the next month, so he'll still enjoy it. But like to now have to say, well, you know, now when we get to the next step, those cards that you get used to, you don't get. It's not like you get a choice. You just can't use them. And again, the reason that I keep harping on this, and like, again, everyone that has listened to this podcast, like, we are normally like supporters of everything. But I think that if we create enough friction that the FAR list will get looked at again. And I'm not saying don't bring a FAR list back in this edition because all of the cards are now universal. What I'm saying is that 3 restricted card limit should be one of the levers that we're able to pull, or you're making these documents pulse, like smaller, more frequent tweaks is what we've always asked for as a community, not these long, broad strokes. Because what it's going to do is it's going to knock aggro down a peg, right? and something else is going to come, like Flex is going to rise to the top, and we're going to be like, we don't have enough tools to fight against X. We don't have enough tools to fight against Y. It's just the nature of the beast. But to Trace's point, like, we as normal filthy casuals did not get enough time to experience this stuff for ourselves. I'm glad that Worlds happened. I'm glad everyone had fun. I'm glad that these imbalances were exploited during Worlds, which is what's going to happen when you have the best player in the Worlds get this new product before everyone else.
And you have a title of world champion on the line. Of course, they're going to just take every broken combo they can. Like, that's the reason why their gamer's going to game. Like, that's what's... It's just super frustrating for me.
But by making this, like, super broad stroke, you've taken product out of new players' hands or people that are acquiring and want to play the world championship deck, right? Like, they want to experience it. Okay, fine. Let them experience it. And you know what? They still can. And furthermore, I would like to propose at our locals of trying some of the different things, like making everything to glory, going to all these cards being restricted and allowing to be built with and play with the new rules and just see how it goes. Because we haven't seen, in our community, we haven't seen Drom because everyone stays against, like, away from the toppest of the tier. Like, no one likes to bring that to our locals. That's fine. So I'm glad that Drom and Thricefold can, like, work their way into our player base, but I would rather just have something where I can enjoy those cards, experience those cards, work around those cards, just not set them on fire already. I think we've nailed it.
Yep. Yeah. And so I'll say this, and you said it, Jason, that, like, we try to be as positive as possible. Like, we've been accused of being apologists. So, like, we probably like Games Workshop. Well, we probably like Warhammer Underworlds maybe a little too much, and probably give the designers a little more slack than most do. We do really appreciate the fact that this document exists at all, that there is thought being put into the game, that we know that the game is still alive, it's still being supported. But yeah, it's super frustrating. Like, it of all of the updates I think that we have ever seen for Warhammer Underworlds,
this is the most.
I think this is the first one that, I think this is the first one that I can ever look at and say this is the wrong update. Like, I'm sitting here trying to say that I'm excited about trying to solve the aggro puzzle without these 4 cards, but the decision just feels so wrong that I don't even know that I'm excited about trying to solve that puzzle. I mean, I'm going to, because I want to play Jaws of Itzel, and I think aggro is the way to go for them. But, yeah, I think we've hammered it.
It's going to be a hard sell for me to purchase anymore, is what I'm saying.
Ooh, yeah, that's true.
Like, you 30 days. Need to tell them I had 30 days to play with this deck, and now I can't play with 4 cards, and it makes me not want to purchase anything.
Now, the old Jason would be like, but you can play Rivals, Trace. Like, just use it in Rivals. It's perfectly fine.
But not this Jason. Not Jason tonight.
Not this Jason tonight.
Yep.
It just, like, again, if you come and beat me with this Rivals deck, I'm going to talk junk to you because it's like, it's super strong. It's got Forsaken in the
But I guess my point is like, we have fun with the Rivals format. We do. Like, I play it sometimes. Somebody will show up at the shop and be like, "Hey, let's play Rivals." Yeah, let's do it. No problem. But this is the level that we are at. The Nemesis deck building is what we enjoy doing. Trying to make something fun. And it's just careless. It's careless.
Yep. It feels like the wrong choice. Feels like the wrong decision. So, I'm excited to see Drom on the table finally, though. That'll be fun.
If I even play.
If you even play, get out of here. You'll still play.
You know, I'm going to put my best foot forward.
You're too much of a shill to not play, Jason.
Yeah, right. Like, I don't like.
Anyway, all right.
I don't want to keep harping on it because the emotions are strong.
They're hot. They're hot.
They
Too
are.
many blood tithe counters. You got to discard some.
I do. I'm enraged. I need to get it out of here.
Make somebody else charge. Cool. Well, I think that's it. We'll cut it off here. We'll take a break and we will come back for the outro. And we're back, and that wraps up the 77th episode of the Battle Mallet podcast. As always, we want to say thanks for taking the time to listen and hang out with us. We appreciate the listens. If you want to get our content out, you can share it via word of mouth, but also liking and subscribing on your podcast listening platform of choice is probably the best way to do that. So good at words tonight.
Nether regions
to nice. We're doing so good. And I have to forsake this whole podcast. Anyway, on the community shout out side, I just want to give a shout out to Jake with Goonhammer. He's already published an article with his takes on the FAQ. So if you want a written opinion on it, you can check that out. We are Battle Mallet HQ on X, Blue Sky, and Instagram. If you want to follow us there, we're Battle Mallet Podcast on Facebook. Trace is Al Capone on the Instagrams. I think that's it. Anybody? Anything else?
Not really.
No, yeah, emotions are so hot. Nobody else should say anything.
What I'll say this.
Okay, say
this. Please, just read the rule book for what it is. Stop interpreting stuff from version 1.
Yep.
Just full stop. Read the rule book.
That's probably that is the answer to most of the questions in the rules updates. Cool. So for the Battle Mallet podcast, we are 3 gamers who wish we were on the restricted list instead of the Forsaken list. This is Jerod signing out.
This is Trey signing up.
And I'm Jason Table Noob Murray, full of rage and hatred for Nemesis. Get the hell out of here.
Peace. The Battle Mallet podcast is protected under the Creative Commons license. If you have further questions as to its use, you can find more information via links on podcast.battle-mallet.com. Music by Anno Domini Beats.
It's for Sultan Precious!